Hello everyone, this is Dennis Baldwin from Drone Blocks. I wanted to take a moment to put together a ad hoc troubleshooting video for DEXI-OS and our ROS2 software. We currently are working on version 0.06. It is not widely available yet. We're still beta testing, but this video is going to cover some of the things we've learned and heard from our community related to getting DEXI software up and running, connecting to the ROS2 nodes, using Node-RED, and doing DEXI programming. My intent is to share just some troubleshooting steps that I normally do when having any issues with our software. So let's go ahead and dive in. Here I've flashed my DEXI-OS, I've plugged in the SD card, I've powered up the transmitter, and now I'm going to power up DEXI and allow it to initialize after flashing a new DEXI-OS. My V0.05 flash took about 6.5 minutes from powering up DEXI to installing the services and then finally seeing the white stabilize mode LED. With the DEXI network broadcasting, you'll see mine here. The next step that I'll take is I'll connect to it. Going to open a terminal in VS Code. This can obviously be any terminal program that you prefer. You might be asked for a password for your DEXI network. That will be Drone Blocks, but mine didn't prompt because I've already connected before. Then I'm going to ping. This is DEXI's IP 192.168.4.1. So we have a good response coming back. Now I will go open a new tab. Let's just check the DEXI dashboard. So this is a Docker container running on DEXI that allows us to access different services. We're actually in the process of rolling out a new updated UI, so be on the lookout for that. I'm going to go into topic browser. You can see here we have a lot of different topics, many associated with PX4. I'll call out that we have our detections topic. This is for April tag detection. And then let's look at GPIO 22 and 24. So that node is enabled. I will go back and let's double check the camera. So now this is sitting on my bench facing downwards. I can move my hand underneath it so the camera feed looks good. We'll go to back to the dashboard, service browser. We have our GPIO writer service. This is if we want to trigger any sort of outputs like a laser or anything connected to GPIO 21 or 23. So that's the dashboard. Now I'm going to go back to my VS Code terminal. Let's SSH in, that's DEXI at 192.168.4.1. If you ever see this error, this might be because you flashed a new image. There is something called a known host file. So I'm going to open that. It will be in my home directory under .ssh known host. I'll open this. You'll see some previous connection information. I'm going to select that, delete it, save this file. Now when I go back, we should be able to connect. Password is DEXI. So let's take a look at our services to see if we can access ROS-Bridge. ROS-Bridge will be useful for Node-RED development or any sort of web-based development. So I'm going to run sudo systemctl status DEXI. Our password is DEXI, and you will notice a bunch of nodes running. This is the ROS2 project. You'll see here our ROS Bridge WebSocket. That's what we'll use to connect over a WebSocket, for example, Node-RED development. We have our LED service. We have our flight mode status service. This is what we use to toggle the LED color based on the flight mode. Then, of course, in this build, I have the GPIO writer service reader. As we go down a little bit further, you'll notice that our web video server, that's where we can stream video from the Pi camera to the web browser. We should expect in all of this not to see any errors. Our status of this service is active, it's running, and all of these sub processes, these ROS nodes, are running successfully. Another tool that I like to use when doing any sort of troubleshooting is htop. I'm going to type htop, run this. We have our April tag node. That is relatively resource intensive just because we're reading those camera frames and looking for April tags in there, and then all of the other ROS nodes. You should be roughly with everything enabled at about half load or 50%. We've noticed instances where this has been significantly higher, and that is generally a sign of a potential camera problem. Maybe it's the camera board or the cable connected to the camera. Perhaps it's installed improperly, but I'm going to press Q and get out of this. I'm now going to go over to Docker. I'm going to start my Node-RED container. For anyone doing Node-RED development, we'll go through the steps for troubleshooting that. So I'm going to go ahead and just create a new flow. And what we want to verify is that our ROS bridge is running properly. We saw it in the systemctl output. So I'm going to, for example, let's just do a ROS to subscribe. That's one of the quicker ways to detect if we have a communication issue. So 192.168.41.90.90. If that's not in there, you can always go in here and add it. But once again, I am connected to DEXI. It's powered up on my bench. And when I click done, deploy, you'll see a connected status, and you'll also notice that you'll see all of the topics that we observed in the dashboard, the topic browser. So that shows us that the ROS bridge is working properly. I'm going to go ahead and delete this and just do a simple test, maybe like the LED ring. We'll write to the ROS service, and then I'll drag the inject node out. What this will allow us to do is quickly wire this up. Let's just change the LED ring color to purple. Done. ROS to service call. We'll specify 192.168.41 port 9090. You obviously need the WS colon in front of there. And going to deploy that. We'll see connected. And then let me just, I guess for the sake of the demonstration, I'm going to bring my DEXI into view. I'm going to click inject. And now we have LED ring. So as you're troubleshooting, make sure that you see connected here and you're connected to the DEXI network via Wi-Fi, as well as using the proper IP address for DEXI. Let me wrap up the video by saying we have seen in some instances users may have prematurely powered down DEXI before the entire installation process has completed. You'll see here that I'm flashing my SD card. This takes anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. Then it will do a verification. But if you've flashed DEXI-OS, we have a video on the YouTube channel that shows how to do that. Make sure that you go through the full process. I always recommend letting the validation step complete. Once that's done, you can pull your SD card out, put it into DEXI, boot it, and that's where I started the video. And doing that, we see anywhere from 6 to 8 minutes to initialize the services for DEXI's network to be configured, and then you will see the network show up in your Wi-Fi connections. If you don't see that, perhaps there was a bad flash, or once again, perhaps you powered down DEXI prematurely. And so I recommend just double checking that. After all of that is done, you should have two visual indicators. One, your LED ring is white if you're in stabilized mode, yellow if in altitude, green if in position mode, and you should be able to see DEXI's network show up. So I'll leave it at that for now. If you have any questions, please feel free to jump into our Discord or send an email to support@droneblocks.io. And until next time, thanks for watching.